From high above the Michigan International Raceway, we are here in the Irish Hills this week for the third round of the Great Lakes Truck Series this season. Elliot, how are we feeling tonight with this much longer track rather than the short track of Phoenix that we had last week?
I think we're in for a good show. It usually puts on a pretty good show here at Michigan. We're going to have to pay attention to how good these guys can get through the draft, how well they can maneuver traffic, and really watch those tires as the run goes on. The big thing I think here is just going to be kind of managing that and making sure as you get deeper into a run, you can actually pass cars and keep up with other guys. The right front tire is going to wear out pretty quickly here, and you're just going to make sure that you can continue to maneuver through the corner and get that exit, getting onto these long straightaways.
31 drivers racing here tonight, looking to check off that ever so important win here. Malad Radman, most notably, with 2 wins already on the season after 2 races, going for his three-peat. Elliot, when was the last time that anyone's ever three-peated in Great Lakes Truck Series?
I wish I actually knew that information. I don't have it on me, but it's definitely been a while. So gonna have to see what happens. Obviously, Shane's gone back to back here recently. I think 2 seasons ago. Nicholson's done it a couple seasons ago. So we've had guys go back to back recently. It's just not been normal to see a three-peat. But we'll have to go back through the record books and double check that for you before we get this one going.
Shane Neiswanger, a notable driver here at Michigan, tends to be a feast or famine finish for him, either scoring the win or finishing either the last car on the lead lap or just in the garage. Real, like I said, real feast or famine track for him. Looking at the top of the boards right now, we got roughly 30 or so. How much time's left in qualifying there, Elliot? It's
not a lot.
Looks like and a half.
Yeah, about a minute and a half. Eric Kepf actually dropped out while he was in the middle of his second lap, and he's having issues trying to get back in. So a couple guys having internet issues, but looks like in the last couple seasons, just Nanny, Shane Neiswanger, Al Malad with the back-to-back. But I don't see anyone that's done a three-peat until you go all the way back to seasons 1 and 2. Where yours truly was able to put together a string of about 4 or 5 races, but Malad could be entering some different territory here.
Really knocking on the door of Great Lakes history here if he can string together another one. He had a great run here in the last race we did here last season with his buddy TCB, not unlike the performance that we saw at Daytona, where they were able to just kind of leapfrog each other back and forth and maintain control of the front of the field. Elliot, how important is that clean air up there versus being back in the pack?
I think it's everything. Clean air is a big deal with a lot of people, with a lot of tracks. You heard, I believe it was Nathan Jump mentioned it at Phoenix, or maybe it was Zach's. They got out in the front, in that clean air. They got out in front, and they were able to just sit there and kind of manage the race from that area. So, more here than potentially Phoenix or anywhere else. Clean air is going to matter. Nanny's going to have the most of it so far. Looks like he's going to start this one from pole with Zach Henry in second, but the second place guy also manages the race as well as the leader. The leader is going to have to manage their tires, but the second place guy is going to be able to force the issue and potentially make the leader run through their tires and be able to potentially drive around them at a certain point. We do see 2 to 3 car breakaways here if you're, smart enough and fast enough to get away. So I expect to potentially see that, especially with the guys we have starting up front with Danny, Zach, Jump, and Darling. But we'll have to see how that all unfolds.
The draft is definitely a factor here with these relatively lowered horsepowered trucks compared to the NASCAR Cup cars of yesteryear. But as we get, you're gonna see a lot what's gonna look like pack racing here in the first half of these runs. But as the tires wear, I think you're gonna see a little bit more stringing out, like Elliot said, and some 3-car breakaways potentially. Look for that early on or later on in the runs in the event. Qualifying's about been wrapped up. We're midway through the gridding process. It looks like Daniel Nanny is going to be your pole sitter by just over 0.03 of a second over Zach Henry. Nanny always performing well at this racetrack. One of our more aggressive and high performing drivers in this racetrack.
Yeah, we do have John Barry starting up there too, and Matt and Robin Durr finishing out right behind him. We'll go through the order in a second here, but just notable entry of John Barry, who ran really well at Phoenix, ended up getting tangled in a couple incidents and was lapped down at one point due to a strategy call he made. But we'll have to see how hard he pushes here, starting up in the top 5 for the first time.
This track all means so much to the Great Lakes Truck Series. It is our home track per se, being the Great Lakes series. So we always come back here. This is a real, almost our own crown jewel, if you will. It's not in Indy or Charlotte or Daytona or something like that to the Cup Series, but it is a special place for us, as it is our home track here. The field beginning to roll down the pit lane here. We'll just take you through the running order as they line up with Daniel Nanny on pole, like we said, and Zach Henry to his outside.
Nathan Jump, who made a big gain last week after his Phoenix run, is going to start third with Jared Darling in fourth.
John Barry starts in the 5th position with that number 74 truck, with Matt Durr to his outside. Matt looking for another good performance here.
Father Matt Durr, Robin Durr starting right behind him in 7th, and the first half of Team TCB starting in 8th, Tyrell Baker.
The second half of Team TCB, Milad Radman, his good buddy, starting right behind him in P9, with Mike McConville in the 81 starting to his outside in 10th.
Double the bridesmaid this season so far, looking to put that thing in victory lane. The 9 truck of Hunter Madalinas, and to his outside starting 12th is Jackson Sims.
Chris Heller rolls off from the 13th position tonight. Good to see Heller back in the league again. We will look to see how well he can march his way up to the front here. And then Austin Moore in the 14th position to his outside.
Couple dark horse motorsports guys sitting back here. Shane Nicewanger going to start 15th, and Preston Henry to his outside 16th.
Michael Senzi running that ever so historic to the Great Lakes Truck Series in the 37 there. He rolls off 17th with Gabe Truesdale in the 16 there to his outside. Look for Gabe. Gabe was putting up some fast laps in practice. Look for him to be moving to the front quickly.
Frank Kingcott going to roll off in 19th after having a pretty up and down Phoenix race. And Ashton Lawson, remember, who's running so well during Phoenix, is going to roll off 20th.
Michael Barbagelata in the 22 truck starting 21st tonight, with Adam Zorn in the 19 starting next to him in the 22nd position.
And 23rd is going to be Lewis Woodall with Nicholas Caressel in 24th.
Noted Canadian Gavin Fitzgerald in the 14 truck rolling off 25th tonight. To his outside, he's got Alex Fetter in the 38.
Aiden DuPont going to roll off 27th with Spencer Owens to his outside in 28th.
Rod Fosnaugh in the 4 truck tonight rolling off 29th with Mr. Pink, Eric Kepf, there to his outside starting in the 30th position. Look for him to be moving forward throughout the event. And then rounding out your starting field tonight is James Shiflett in the 28 truck rolling off 31st.
Yeah, remember Eric had that issue in qualifying. We'll have to see how he can make the beginning of this race work out for him. Obviously, a lot of different strategy calls there, but with pit options being close to about 20 to 25 laps, that's what they're talking about for fuel. We'll have to see how this all works out. It's only a 100-lap race as pace truck is off.
The pace truck dives down to pit road here. Daniel Nanny will lead them to the green flag here. He's got Zach Henry to his outside, Nathan Jump, Jared Darling rounding out the top 4. Green flag is out, and they're away. Remember, the initial start is on the flagman, so they're going to no jump for Nanny as they fire off into turn 1 side by side.
And it's going to be tough to defend that inside without that jump. If he doesn't get a push, you can see Zach Henry working that outside lane, but looks like Jump's going to be able to push him around, and Nanny's going to be clear off turn 2.
Nanny jumps up into that first position, but here comes Zach Henry down on the inside. He's going to try and link up with his 2511 teammate Nathan Jump, move Zach Henry to the point here in turn 3, slides up in front of Nanny. wasn't just able to clear him there, and here comes Nanny storming back on the outside.
I was saying, Nanny looked like he wanted to get behind Zach there and then thought different of it halfway through the corner and kind of went to the outside. Now he's got Jared working with him as the 25-11 guys are lined up on the bottom there.
Will we see that 25-11 pairing show the force that teammates have shown all so far this season? Nanny comes powering back to the outside with Jared Darling in tow. They're looking to take the fight right to them as they lead the field down into 3.
Might want to be careful about their mirror there. New guy up in the top 5, TCB, Tyrell Baker. Very good on these short runs. Usually doesn't really care about wasting his tires and just trying to get up towards the front. He's now right there in 5th. He's got Matt Dare right behind him.
Like you said, that clean air is all important, and TCB knows it. He wants that clean air, and he doesn't care how much tire he's going to use to get it. Meanwhile, back up at the front, Nanny, Zach Henry side by side off of 2. Nanny getting the run and the push from Jared Darling. He's going to clear Zach Henry as they go down into 3.
Yeah, that outside lane's working. The inside usually is the one that falls off, but it usually takes a good amount of laps, and we've seen TCB really work that inside lane as he now splits them up the middle. TCB trying to go for second. Nanny going to try to block all 3 lanes. Jared's going to get in line, and we've got a big drag race down the front stretch.
3 wide there for 3rd. They look like a stack of cups on a table there. 1 in 1st, 2 in the 2nd lane, 3 in the 3rd lane there as they fire off. We've got 3 wide for the lead. TCB pulling a Kyle Larson, just powers right to the lead there in 1 and 2, and down the back. He's got it.
I told you, there's a lot of guys that care about their tires. TCB's not one of them. He's found the lead now. Daniel Nanny looks to his inside. Nanny's going to be the next aggressor, but I'm sure Zach, Matt Durr, and those guys back there will give him a little bit of space and let him go at it as they're side by side.
We've got one in the wall back there. That's Brent Kingcott. He manages to keep it straight, keep it going. Meanwhile, back at the front, it's a drag race right down the front stretch there, 2 by 2 by 3. As Nanny fires off down into the bottom of the racetrack, he's going to have the edge going into 1. Can he slide up in front of TCB? He does. Move Nanny back to the point. Here comes TCB with a crossover.
0.02 of a second across the line last time as TCB now looks to the bottom. They're 3 wide, shuffling, door banging down for about 5th, 6th spot there. Radman trying to make some moves. Again, your 2-time winner this season already, trying to get up towards the front and peeking under Nathan Jump right now. He's going to make it 3 wide, too.
So much action here in the first 5 laps of this event. We can hardly keep up with it here in the booth. TCB leads the field, flashing across the line down into turn 1. He's got Zach Henry looking to his inside. Is Zach Henry going to make a point to come back up to that lead? Nope. It looks like he'll drop back as Daniel Nanny gets that run along the high side.
Man, these guys are not going to be able to get off each other. Don't look back there too far. Christopher Heller's making his way up through the field. You've got Jackson Sims back there as well. A lot of these guys that haven't had great runs throughout the season trying to get up here and make some hay up towards the front, knowing this is kind of anyone's race. They're still 3 wide for about 3rd. They nearly make contact as Malad Radman tries to get in behind Nathan Jump there to push him up towards Zach Henry. Nanny's going to lead this one.
Move Daniel Nanny back to the point here. They're side by side going back down into turn 1. Nanny clears Zach Henry and TCB. Move him there. Here comes TCB back, flashing by on the outside. They're side by side as they drag race down into 3.
Jump looks like he's starting to get a little bit frustrated, wanted to go to the inside, and Andy couldn't really make the move happen, so he just kind of sat there on his quarter panel through the middle of the corner. Now he's trying to force his way up the bottom of TCB. He's going to probably have to work with Nanny here to make something happen unless he tries to go 3 wide. They're still side by side behind him, though, as Nanny leads this one.
Hunter Madalinas and Mike McConville just had a big moment there off of 4. They were beating and banging all the way off the corner as they've seemed to shuffle it out. And don't look now. Here comes Malad Radman looking for that 3-peat here this weekend. He's lined up nose to tail with the 3 car of TCB. Look for them to be making a big push to the front here on the inside with Nanny on the outside. TCB looking low. He's going to be trying to make a point, making a charge back to the lead here as they come across the stripe.
Watch TCB all race long here. He does this in 3 and 4 where he'll just dive it down to the bottom, basically drive it like it's Auto Club, take the apron and everything, and just make it work lap after lap. You can see how the run down the front stretch hurt him, though. His jump's going to look to the inside. Teammate Radman goes to the outside of TCB, and he's going to suffer a little bit, but he doesn't. He just makes that bottom line work all race long. Jump to the lead, clears Nanny, and TCB still doing work on teammate Radman.
TCB noted last race, in fact, last season here, not a whole lot of people liked that bottom lane there in 3 and 4, as we see a whole gaggle of them go down there now. But a lot of people are afraid of that bottom lane. They feel like it chews up their tires a lot, so they stick to that second lane, that second seam up there in 3 and 4. TCB favors that yellow line, that shortest way around the racetrack, as he's making hay in it since the green flag. Out front, Nathan Jump has about a 1 car length advantage over Daniel Nanny, and he looks to maintain that going down the back.
TCB lost that back end there. He squeezed it up in front of Zach Henry. I think those rear tires are starting to do something for him here. And Nathan Jump talked to us earlier in this week, said that he was going to make his name known. He wasn't mentioned as a top 3, and he said, I'm a top 3 guy. He's there now. We might have to readjust our list coming out of this one, but he leads over Nanny as they come to complete lap 10.
Nathan Jump taking commentators' comments personally here and making it known as he leads lap 10, going to lap 11 here early on in this 100 lap event. In the third position, it's the battle for the third position, rather, is Zach Henry on the bottom and Malad Radman up top. They've been 2x2 here for about a lap and a half, with Chris Heller now joining the fight there behind Zach Henry. Make it 3 25-11 teammates in the top 6. Look for them to take the fight to Team TCB, as Radman, TCB, and Heller are 3 wide coming down to the stripe.
Yeah, I don't really know how TCB found himself in the middle there. I thought he was going to work with Radman, but they decided to switch spots. I think TCB would rather be up front, as Zach Henry cleared him, and now Heller's trying to clear him on the bottom. That bottom lane is going to be hard to, complete the pass in. It's going to require a lot of effort from guys around you, but that outside seems to move down the straightaways so much, as we've got a yellow out right now.
Yellow on the racetrack. That's the 4 of Rod Fosnow, has found himself backwards on the back straightaway. We'll have to go back and look and see what happened, as he's got, I believe that's a piece of his rear fender just laying there on the on the concrete there, on the what's the word I'm looking for here, the below the apron there.
Yeah, we had a lot of big movers there. Now that this run's kind of over and it can settle down, we can all catch a breath. Heller went from 13th to 5th. Madalena's followed him up through there from 11th to 6th. Big loser right there was Jared Darling, as we're going to go ahead and grab you a replay of what happened to Fosnow.
Hard racing all the way throughout the field. We were focused on the front. I will say, though, back there in that second group, after about like 18th, 19th, 20th, they were 3 wide as well going into one right before the contact and the caution happened. So we'll have to pay attention on all. Keep your head on a swivel here tonight, Elliot, as we've got action all throughout this 31 car field. Like I was saying, they're 3 wide. Looks like Michael Barbagelata just got loose and then had to catch it, and then it's just on from there. Who was that he had contact with? Was that the 14?
Gavin Fitzgerald. Yeah, I think Gavin got put in the wall, and DuPont just kind of ran over Rod. Didn't really know if Rod was going to check up or move a different way, and unfortunately, at about 170 miles an hour, decisions happen pretty quickly. We've also got pit stops going on here. It looks like about everybody's come down 13 laps into this one.
Everybody is looking to get those 4 fresh tires, I believe, as we ride on board with Gavin Fitzgerald there. I believe that was a lap earlier. So how important, Elliot, are those 4 fresh tires? Obviously, we're roughly halfway through a run here, so it's going to be relatively important. How bad is that tire wear? Does this place chew up tires?
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. I think TCB may have actually gotten off second or third there, but you're gonna want to get tires as many times as you can. I didn't check to see what the count was for tires today, so I don't know if we're kind of at that awkward point and we need to worry about that, because this could have been a good time to stay out and save a set later on, like we saw a couple guys try to do at Phoenix. So doesn't look like anyone's worried about that today. Everyone decided to come down halfway through this run. It will put them in an awkward spot, though, on fuel if this goes green all the way through. So we'll have to keep up with that and see.
Daniel Nanny was your winner of the race off pit road. He handily beat Nathan Jump there. Looks like Nanny had a 13.9 second stop compared to Jump's 14.1. Those point 0.2 of a second going to make all the difference here, as Nanny's going to have lane choice when we go back green.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what he does as well. He kind of knows who the good pusher was from that last start, and I think it was pretty much Jump, but he's not going to be able to make that choice of putting Jump behind him. But he does have his teammate, Hunter Madalinas, is now up to fourth, so he could line up on the top and get a push from Madalinas. But you know TCB and Jump are really good pushers. He's going to take that top lane, though, and give himself a shot with Madalinas on the outside.
Boy, we have got all the big names up here in the top 10. Daniel Nanny is sitting in first with Nathan Jump, TCB, Madalinas, Chris Heller, Zach Henry, Jared Darling, Malad Radman, Matt Durr, Austin Moore, all heavy hitters in this league as the field rolls off into turn 1 and 2. They're doubling up here. I believe we're going green this time.
All former playoff drivers, some former regular season champions, only one former champion named out of all of those, though, is Zach Henry back there in sixth. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys want to navigate this start here, about 15 laps into this one.
Daniel Nanny elects to pick the top side here. He's going to line up with his teammate, his E95 teammate there, Hunter Madalinas, to his bumper. Look for them. Nanny's going to have that jump and choice of when to go this time. So he's going to have the jump on jump when we take the green flag here. Nanny and Madalinas will be coordinating that. Will be coordinating that that restart there in their channels. Look for them to jump out here as the field's making its way through 4.
No pain scheme for Hunter Madalinas this season. Looking pretty good.
And the Celsius number 9 here, looking pretty good. Whoever his painter is, he must have done a good job. Pace car is off here as we look to go back to green racing. The green flag is out. Daniel Nanny gets away with a shot. Madalinas is hot on his tail there. They both just left Jump in the dust there, as both of them have cleared Jump going down into 1.
Yeah, well executed. No issues. And it looks like TCB wants to be aggressive and go up the middle if he can. I'm sure he's not going to want to work with Jump if he doesn't have to. But watch for Jump to potentially get that run. You can see Madalinas pushing Nanny there. That's what he really needs to do. They need to try to break away. But if you're going to try to break away, you really don't have time to save anything. And depends how aggressive these guys behind you want to be. You can already see Jump right to the inside. Didn't lift at all going to that corner. He's going to be side by side with Nanny coming off 4.
Hunter Madalinas washed up in turn 3 and 4, and it allowed Jump to really dive it in there and exit the corner out alongside of him as they flash back to the line. Nanny's still your leader with Madalinas to his bumper, Jump to his inside. Meanwhile, they're 2 by 2 by 2 farther back in the pack there, just all the way back, lined up till practically back to 10th and 11th position.
Yeah, Austin Moore was trying to third lane on Jared Darling. Looked like he wanted to send it in a little bit hard there, but thought better of it, just kind of got back in line. You can definitely do that if you want to. Just depends on what you want your tires to look like after a few laps. So right now, looks like everyone's a little bit calmer than before, but still 2 by 2.
The cream has really risen to the top in this race. You can see how much calmer this restart is versus the initial race start. They're 2 by 2, reminiscent of the lines that we see at Daytona or Talladega, where they get all packed up together. Like I was saying in the beginning of the show, it's reminiscent of pack racing here early on. But look for that to get strung out here as those tires start to wear. Daniel Nanny leads them in 4.
Tell you what, Matt Durr back there has been really aggressive trying to go to the bottom and make moves, but he hasn't had any help. I'd be interested to see when Shane gets up there what they can do, because Shane's right there behind him, just leaving a little bit of a gap. You've got Jump and Heller up here working together, E95 on the outside with Madalinas and Nanny trying to work together. A lot of teammates going on, and I think TCB and Radman are about to be hooked up. If Radman can clear Henry, no, not quite off turn 2.
Shane Neiswanger, one of two things has happened here. Either Shane is adopting a new strategy of just kind of trying to lay back and let everyone else wreck themselves, as he's been involved in a lot of wrecks in recent memory here at Michigan, or we've just got that much aggressive people this season in this in this race in this trip to Michigan, as he's been sitting there roundabout right where he qualified there. He qualified in 15th, sitting in the 13th position comfortably, as they're just he's just watching this group right in front of him. Like I said, just packed up here, 2 by 2 all the way back, as Nathan Jump is making a challenge for the lead.
Yeah, those guys in that little 4-car pack, it's Sims, Neiswanger, Spencer Owen from 28th on the board to 15th now, and Michael Sensi right there. That's a few guys that haven't really had the great runs that they need this season, so I think they're content to just sit back there, let this work itself out, watch these guys burn through some tires and pick a couple off as it keeps going. Nanny somehow leaves that lap over Jump. Heller and Jump still trying to make that bottom lane work, but Madalinas and Nanny have had the top lane rolling. Jump's going to have him clear, but is he going to leave Heller this time?
25-11 teammates there working is a little bit of a bobble there, maybe some contact between the 30 and the 11. You mentioned big movers. Chris Heller himself up from 13th all the way to 3rd as TCB and Radman gets turned, and Zach Henry. 3 big heavy hitters have been taken out early on in this event.
I'd say that was a situation of either Radman or TCB thinking he was clear and someone was not, and Zach couldn't lift in time to get out of it, and all 3 of them kind of caught the wall together.
Oh my goodness. 3 powerhouse drivers here at Michigan International Speedway have just been involved in a heavy wreck approximately a quarter of the way through this race. We'll get you a replay here in a second. That is huge. Elliot, how is that going to affect the rest of this field, knowing how strong Radman and TCB and Henry are?
Well, I'll tell you, he's got a big smile on their face right now is that 9 truck, knowing that he may be leaving here the points leader if he can hold this one together.
Oh, as it looks like Henry just might have just hooked the 29, maybe was trying to push him there a little bit, or a big race. I'm going to have to get another look at that just to make sure. I don't want to call anybody out or anything, but that looked just like a bump gone wrong down the back.
Really unfortunate to take out both Team TCB trucks in one foul swipe there, too. This will get you another replay of that angle. Nothing's happening on track.
Yep, it looks like Zach Henry was alongside of Radman there, trying to get a big side draft going on his right quarter panel there, and just got a little too close.
Couple guys pitting towards the back. Looks like John Barry might be the first taker from about that 8th spot. He did this back in Phoenix. No real surprise. He likes to play that pit strategy a little bit, so see how that works out for him. But yeah, just kind of looks like they went in that corner, and I guess Zach just expected Radman to go down the track, and Radman was going to hold a line there and kind of run the top, and unfortunately TCB was wrong place, wrong time, and just kind of got taken out by both of them. So both Team TCB trucks sitting on pit road back to back there. They started about 13th, 14th, and they're going to have to sit there and get some damage repaired, and I think Radman's going to be the worst off, unfortunately. Your points leader coming in, 2 wins in a row. And with that damage, it's going to be incredibly hard to bounce back now.
Heavy contact for the both of them, and it all ends with TCB backwards up against the turn 3 wall there. I believe your pit takers all would be the 74 of John Barry, the 10 of Robin Durr, Ashton Lawson, Brent Kingcott both came down, Adam Zorn. Like we said, Radman and TCB are still on pit road repairing that damage. James Shiflett, Alex Feder, Louis Woodall, and Nicholas Caressel all coming down to get those ever important tires.
And it'll be interesting to see how they sort this out, since this technically would have been at the end of their first fuel run. So you would have thought that maybe they'd want to come down and get fuel so that they're not in an awkward spot, but maybe fuel calculation shows that they can do it the rest of the way. But yeah, you got to wonder if it runs green from here, if John Barry and those guys are going to be in a really good spot fuel wise. I don't know if they got tires, but
I did misspeak there. I don't believe any of them got tires. Perhaps Robin Durr. He had a 7.2 second stop compared to Brent Kingkoff's 5.0. We know for sure that he just took fuel only. Robin Durr might have had a little bit of damage there and may have stayed on pit road just to repair just a little bit more of that. The field is doubling up now. They've received the 1 to go signal up front. It's Nathan Jump with Daniel Nanny to his outside. Jump's got his 2511 teammate back there, ever faithful Chris Heller. Boy, from my view in the booth here, we've got the 25 and the 11 truck back to back running their team numbers. They're in in position. It's the 2511 show on the bottom and the E95 show on the outside there. They've got Austin Moore, another E95 teammate back there. They're lined up three deep in the top row. Look for them to get a big jump here as we go back to green.
Yeah, they're making it work. They've got Sims in between Heller and Henry there, splitting up the 2511 gang on the bottom. And then you've got a few dark horse guys with Shane Nicewanger, Matt Durr right behind them. So a lot of the big teams showing their way up front here. We'll have to see how that shakes out as they come into 3 and 4, getting ready to take the green flag to put us on lap 25, put us a quarter of the way through this race.
Worth noting, Zach Henry was on Dark Horse Motorsports last season, so you know he's got that relationship built there with the Dark Horse boys of Matt Durr right behind him, Shane Nicewanger not too far behind him on his outside. So look for them to work together here. As the pace car dives onto pit road, it's Nathan Jump's show, and he is off. And so I misspoke earlier. It's this time around, it's the 2511 gang that gets going early as both of them clear Daniel Nanny, flashing off into one.
Yeah, they Jump got the lead there for just a bit right before that yellow came out. Be interested to see how this outside lane works for them. There is no outside lane. Heller's going to block like crazy, and Nanny's going to be all over his back bumper. Nearly an accident there with Heller trying to block Nanny up to the outside wall.
Big shove down the back there. Looked like a train that was coming to a stop, except they were just picking up speed as they were all bumping and banging into each other down the back. Coming off of 4, Nathan Jump has Chris Heller nose to tail while they scramble behind him. That's Jared Darling in the 1 truck there trying to make some noise for Spectrum Racing. He's passed both of the E95 guys, almost makes contact with Madalinas as they dive off into 1.
Yeah, Jared's no stranger to this type of racing. He's very good here, but he has no friends right now. Nanny's going to go to the bottom and try to help out Madalinas, and they're going to try to get this show going. You know Zach's not going to go with Nanny, but Austin Moore is going to push him on the top side. So looks like 2511's making out like a bandit right here, just able to hold their own, and we got to see if E95 can get around Jared and push their way up towards the front.
2511 teammates controlling this field as they come back to the line to complete lap 26 of this 100-lap event. Further back, it's 3 wide. You've got Mike McConville trying to make some noise on the bottom there. He was underneath of Zach Henry and Austin Moore, thought better of it, and tucks back in line there. Shane Nicewanger takes advantage as he's side by side with Zach Henry down the back.
How about Austin Moore? Here he comes from about that 15th or so. Actually, he started back about 14th. Yep. Right up towards the top 5 here, right behind his 2 teammates on that outside lane is Jared Darling again. No friends, just trying to make something work on the bottom right now.
Boy, the crowd that all started in those teen positions are taking advantage of the power vacuum left by a wrecked Radman and TCB as Shane Nicewanger, Chris Heller, Austin Moore, Mike McConville, Jackson Sims, they're all starting to move their way towards the front to take up the spots that were previously occupied by Team TCB here. Big shove down the back from the 2511 crew. They are hooked up and not letting anyone catch them.
Heller peeks to the outside, probably just get some air, make sure that truck's nice and cool. Madalinas can't really go anywhere. They don't have anything to do here. I think at this point, these guys are probably a bit content to just kind of ride. I mean, they don't really have a need to go out and do anything. They know they have multiple pit stops still. They've seen a couple of yellows already at awkward points in the race. So I think, preserve your tires, preserve your positions, as Austin wanted to go to the outside. Nanny threw a block there, and they're still trying to gain spots.
Jared Darling looks low on Austin Moore. He thinks better of it, tucks back in as they hit the backstretch here. The field all single filed out, except for a lone Zach Henry stuck out there on the bottom next to, that's Mike McConville in the 81 and Jackson Sims in the 6, trying to take advantage while he's out there. Like you said, everybody seems to be content to ride back there, trying to save their equipment a little bit after this exciting opening 25-30 laps. You mentioned Heller poking his nose out from behind Jump off of 4. Trying to cool the truck off. Is the possibility of heating that truck up and overheating as large of one as it was at Talladega or Daytona, where you get those big bump drafts?
No, it's nowhere near that close because they're not even pushing each other all the way down a single straightaway here. I think that's more to make sure that he can get. I mean, you can see Nanny literally pushing Madalenas through the corner. I think that's just for him to be able to get air to the front of his truck, create more downforce so he can actually rotate better through the corner. You can see they're going to stack up now. Madalenas looks to the outside. Heller blocks. Madalenas had a run from Nanny, but didn't really go anywhere with it. To me, it's just to make sure that Heller can make the corner. If he sits right there behind him, it's just going to tighten the front of the truck up and not allow him to turn as much. So he's just being smart, making sure he's got air on the nose. And
we've got a big wreck on the back there. That's Gabe Truesdale involved with the 28, I believe, of James Shiflett and the 5 of Brent Kingcott. Big names here taken out on lap 31. Caution flag is out.
yeah, that looked like Ashton Lawson and Brent Kingcott just got together. Gabe Truesdale is an unfortunate bystander in that. And then from there, I think it was Robin Durr that actually got turned there too.
Heavy damage to that Peanuts backed Chevrolet as we take a look back at the replay at the damage to the Gabe Truesdale machine. A real unfortunate scene for him. We know he loves this track so much, looking for a big run, and it doesn't look like a big effort today, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen this time around.
Yeah, Brent ran really well at Phoenix. I remember he ran that bold strategy on tires, and it didn't end up working out for him. He ended up in a late race wreck, and just kind of looking to piece things together and keep his season alive here, and see how Michigan went for him. And unfortunately, it looks like he's going to end up with the worst end of this. As we go back, you can see the overhead view, some slight contact, and Ashton just drove back into his door, I guess, trying to straighten him out, and it sent Brent right up into Gabe. And there you can see Robin Durr. And oh, Preston Henry actually drove into Brent right at the end of that too. So Preston's going to have some major front end damage as well.
A bad case of the ARCA brakes there as Preston Henry comes flying in late. He is new to the series. We were hoping that he would get a little bit better of a showing than this one today. As we go on board with Robin Durr here, as he's looking on board already, and he just gets hit from behind. I couldn't even see. I believe, was that Adam Zorn, his Dark Horse teammate there? Looked like he just come flying in there. Robin Durr had no idea what was happening unless he saw it in his mirror. But as we're gonna ride on board with Zorn, no, that's, oh good lord, I didn't even get a chance. I believe that was Aiden DuPont. Man, Dark Horse drivers there in the back of the pack, not knowing what to do here. No, that wasn't Aiden either. Who was that? That was James Shiflett. That's who that was. It was James Shiflett. The dark colored trucks were messing me up here. A really big incident from everybody. This is on board with James Shiflett. There he is, just tries to go low, and Robin Durr was just on the brakes too much for him to avoid him. Really unfortunate for the both of those trucks. That's going to be heavy damage, as it looks like everyone involved is still on pit road. Adam Zorn, Robin Durr, Preston Henry's on pit road. Like we said, this is the initial contact that started it all. Brent Kingcott, Ashton Lawson. Heavy hits to multiple cars there towards the latter half of this field. Really unfortunate.
We have a lot of shakeup from pit stops. The 24 and 74 have stayed out. That's Ashton Lawson, 26, sorry, and 74 of Ashton Lawson and John Berry have stayed out. And Jump and Nanny came out in their respective spots, but Madalenas drove into the back of Christopher Heller entering pit road. Heller seems to have rear end damage that he has sat and fixed. He'll line up near about 20th. Madalenas will still restart up in that 5th spot now, but watch these two guys that stayed out to shuffle up the field, essentially. We did have Nick Caressel stay out for a second, and then I believe he came back down pit road. Not sure what the point of that was. Potentially refueling, trying something else. Didn't want to be up at the front. He had initially come out in 3rd place, but he'll reset back towards about that 20th spot as well with Heller.
Lawson and Berry did come down pit road. I believe they only took, or didn't take any tires. Might have just had a splash and go to top off on fuel. Both of them with 5.5 second pit stop. So little strategy being played here as we're about a third of the way through this event, looking the Ashton and John trying to save a set of tires here. Maybe have one up on the rest of the field when we get later on in this event. The field is doubled up and they're in four. Ashton Lawson has the control. He's on the outside. John Barry to his inside. Daniel Nanny lines up in the third position behind Ashton. And well, Daniel Nanny's in the fourth position, actually. And Nathan Jump is in third to his inside. As they come through the restart zone, the green flag is out. Ashton Lawson fires away. Nanny tries to get the jump. Can't quite hang with him, but he's going to be side by side with John Barry as they go into one.
Austin Moore was a bit asleep. That's going to give Ashton the outside. Looks like now Jump's going to try to get to the outside of John Barry. I assume John's going to go backwards here. Remember, Ashton and John did pit under that last yellow, but they didn't take tires. They're probably on about 20 lap old tires or so. So Nanny's going to make quick work of this jump, and Madalena's going to go right up through the middle, and it's going to be a mess right now for the field trying to get around Ashton and John Barry.
Ashton Lawson is getting eaten alive by the field in turn 3. Nanny back out in front with Nathan Jump hot on his heels. Jumps in a E95 sandwich there with Nanny in front of him and Madalenas behind him. He says, I won't stand for that. Dives to the inside of Daniel Nanny. Gets a nose out in front. I don't believe he's going to clear Daniel Nanny off of 2, but they're going to be side by side down the back.
How about old Austin Moore putting a nose up there as well with Jared Darling? There's a stack up here going on, and Shane Nicewanger up through the middle trying to get under John Barry but get around Mike McConville.
3 wide in 3 as they come through. Shane Nicewanger sliding through the middle of that Mike McConville and John Barry sandwich. He makes it stick. Move him up to the 7th position as they're side by side still for the lead. It's an E95 train on the high side.
Yeah, Shane Nicewanger, former winner here. I believe he has 2 wins here, actually. So definitely look for him to make his way up towards the front. But Mike McConville has really been showing a lot of pace and a lot of awareness tonight. Still running that bottom lane underneath Shane, just trying to maintain that top 5 spot. But really impressed seeing him run up front as well as he has tonight.
Mike McConville looking to make some noise here and shake up all these heavy hitters from Great Lakes. Trying to say, I've got something to say too, as a big contact gets made there between Nathan Jump and Austin Moore coming off of the corner there. Both of them are managed to hang on to it there as Jump gets a bump from Jared Darling is there to keep him in that fight. They're still side by still making contact out of 2.
Yeah, Jump's starting to get a little bit tight, get a little bit aggressive on that bottom lane. He knows he can't really give up a lot of room. Austin doesn't really care. He's gonna run him a little bit low down the straightaway there and try to follow Madalenas into the corner. Jump drives hard into turn 3, but you got to wonder, just being the odd man out on that bottom lane, if that's going to work out for him in the long run here.
We said the field had calmed down in that last run. I think they've woken back up as Jump is trying to take the fight to almost the entirety of the E95 team as they have that freight train there hooked up on the outside. Jump looking low on Madalenas there again, gets tight there. Looks like it's going to go 3 wide. Nope. Austin Moore thinks better of it as contact is made with him and Jared Darling there. Austin goes into the wall, manages to gather back up. Both of them are going to lose positions. Heller's around. John Barry's around. Michael Barbridge, a lot of big hit in there. Ooh, that's a lot of heavy hitters again.
Yeah, you got to think after it stacks up like that it's just not going to end up working out for everybody. And I think it started with Austin Moore here. Well, it looks like Barry turned down into Heller and TCB, and it put Heller right in the outside wall. Heller's day is going to be done.
That's massive damage to the nose of that 11 truck. Just caught up in the lack of awareness there, going 4 wide down the back. It does get tight. No matter how big the track is, it still can feel a little claustrophobic going down 4 wide on the back straightaway. Maybe that's what got John Barry, as he has turned Chris Heller into the outside wall here. Big wreck here on lap 39.
You'll see Austin Moore kind of pile in with John Barry here. Unfortunately, that initial wall contact, there's a nice door hit and then nowhere to go in this situation. Just taking matters from bad to worse for him. I don't know how they really made the initial contact off the corner. Just hard racing there for that 5th spot, but you can watch. I believe we're going to pull up a replay of Heller here. He just hit the wall straight head on. That's going to be, I mean, I have to imagine that's going to be the end of his day ultimately, at least speed wise. Here's that impact.
Big bump to TCB. He tried to follow him through and just gets hooked right in the right rear. He might have been able to still continue if it had been the other side where he could have spun down below the white line there, but unfortunately gets turned into the outside. That's heavy damage for the 11 truck of Heller. You got to think he's going to be sitting on pit road for a good long time after this. As we get an onboard look with Jared Darling, the contact with Austin Moore that started this massive chain. See, Jared's got all that room to run down there below the white line and avoid everything. Maybe not everything. Wow. Did not realize he got caught up in all. He was right in the middle of that as John Barry got turned sideways, almost coming back around to stare Jared Darling right in the face.
Jared actually ended up going up and hitting Austin Moore again. They door contacted right before that, and it sent Austin right into John Barry. I think Austin wanted to go low there, and Jared's truck was there, unfortunately. But yeah, that looked like Jared just thought Austin was going to go up to the wall a little bit more, and Austin did not. And that was where the initial contact came from, sent all these guys into a frenzy, and unfortunately put Austin right back in the middle of it. So we'll have to see what that damage repair looks like for him. But I believe, mainly that's just going to kill Barb and Austin and Heller out of that one. Probably worse off than anybody else.
Now, in seasons past here at a big track like this, any little smidgen of contact would essentially end any chance that you had at the win because of how aerosensitive these trucks are. Recently, I believe the truck model has gotten a little bit more robust, and you can still hang with the top guy, the perfectly clean trucks there with a little bit of contact. Elliot, can you back me up on that?
Yeah, door contact's not going to be too bad, but it's these head-on collisions that we're seeing and this heavy rear end damage that's really killing these guys. You can actually see TCB's back up on the top 15 here. Like, these guys aren't going to be too bad off with just some contact, but the Heller's officially out of this race with that heavy incident. Barr blew his engine, so he's going to be out. But, you still got guys like Austin Moore. We're looking at TCB here. Heavily damaged, yes, but it looks like it's all kind of just aero. And if you can manage yourself in the group, in the pack, you can definitely make some hay with it. We've seen it happen at Daytona, so Michigan's not going to be very much different. I haven't seen where our points leader Radman's made his way back up to. He's still been on and off pit road, running about 22nd right now, just trying to manage his own race, potentially pull a strategy at the end here and see what they can do. But the damage model's definitely a lot more lenient than it has been, and door contact isn't as big a deal as it used to be. It used to be you hit the wall once and you basically got a dead truck, but you can definitely make it through the rest of the race with some side contact.
The top 11 have all stayed out here. After that, you saw TCB there in the 12th position. He was the first car off of pit road. Everyone else back behind him elected to come down pit road and maybe repair a little bit of damage. As the green flag is back out here, Daniel Nanny rockets away from his teammate Madalinas on the inside. Shane Neiswanger back up into the top. Well, not back up. This is his first time finally poking into the top 5 here. He's going to look to try and squeeze on through. Hunter Madalena says nothing doing as he's pinning Nathan Jump down there on the bottom. E95 teammates hooked up nose to tail as they flash down the back straightaway.
Yeah, new players up here, and no surprise, you got Gavin Fitzgerald up there. Mike McConville's still right there. Now they've got a 3-way train on the outside around Nathan Jump. Jump will be able to hold this spot for a little while, but then you're going to want to see, is he going to be aggressive and try to get in between Nanny and Madalinas, or in between Shane and Madalinas, or is he just going to concede the spot and get up where he can? He doesn't really have a hole now. He did about a lap ago, but you can see all these new players up here, these new faces starting to make some moves and try to put themselves in a good spot. Since he's up inside the top 10, Zach Henry's back up here. TCB following Zach Henry through, so we've got some guys coming back up towards the front here.
New guys looking to make some noise, and noise they are making. They were 3 wide there down the front straightaway back for the 6th position. I believe that was Matt Durr in the 44 and Zach Henry in the 12, and Spencer Owens 3 wide as they flashed across the line. They're now over in 3 as Daniel Nanny still commands the point with teammate Madalinas in tow. Jump still fighting down there on that bottom lane, as they're still 3 wide back there for the 6th, 7th, and 8th positions.
Yeah, I don't think Jump's going to concede anything. He now sees that all these guys are stacked up on the outside, so his only hope is to try to get in behind either Shane or in between Madalinas and Shane, or just find a hole. McConville's going backwards, so he might have a shot around there because these guys are all 3 wide, like you said, with Matt Durr, Mike McConville, and Zach Henry. Zach just trying to get back up in the front. No help, though. So Matt Durr with that middle lane with Gavin Fitzgerald right behind him, going to make some ground up in the middle.
Shane Nicewanger had a massive shove down the back, and he was able to just push Madalinas right up into the bumper of Daniel Nanny. Their big shot is further on in the back. There was contact there. Got a little squirrely, but everybody was able to hold on to it as Matt Durr and Zach Henry continue to race for that 7th spot.
Yeah, former teammates there making a little bit of contact, but they're still moving. Michael Sensi's made some moves up into the top 10 now from 17th, one of the highest movers now with Shane Nicewanger from 15th to 3rd. And TCB has made his way back up here. I told you, that truck is not out of it. Watch him. You're watching him from Sensi's view here. Watch him make some moves and try to get himself up in that top 5 again and start pestering Nanny and Madalinas and Jump.
TCB trying to repeat his Daytona performance with that not so mangled truck, but still with some heavy damages. He's looking to bring the fight back to the front runners here as they dive off into turn 1, now coming through turn 2. Nathan Jump still looking to the inside of Hunter Madalinas.
Yeah, like I said, Jump's still going to hold that lane. He doesn't have any help. I'm sure Zach would much rather be, well, actually Zach's his teammate now, so he's in the spot he wants to be to help Jump out. But so it kind of leaves Shane out on his own here with Mike McConville, but right now it looks like that top lane is just where you want to be, especially down these straightaways. These guys are going to wear out their tires in that bottom lane, and they're just going to start faltering backwards as this run goes deeper and deeper. So you can see them losing a lot of ground right there as the top lane's basically all put together and the bottom lane's just a couple of trucks.
25-11 teammates there. You have to think they're fighting a losing battle, being pinned down on the inside there. Gavin Fitzgerald trying to come down there and help them, maybe take the fight back to these front 2 E95 guys there. Meanwhile, further on in the back, Nicholas Caressel has made a resounding rebound. He was back in the back. I believe he got caught up in a little bit of a spin early on, but he has rebounded from the 24th position starting. He's up to 17th. Noted new entry this season to the Great Lakes Truck Series. We'll look to see how he can make his way forward here. He's been known to make a little noise. I believe he is associates of Radman and TCB. So look for him to have good performance here as we go farther on in this event.
He definitely has had an up and down race, but to find himself right around that top 15 after everything so far, after starting 25th, he's in a good spot. It looks like Jump was trying to make a move. He nearly got clear of Madalinas. That bottom lane's starting to come back. The top lane's starting to fall apart. I've also been really impressed with Spencer Owens, Michael Sensi, and Jackson Sims, and just how dedicated they are to sitting right behind the group. The group is now about 6 to 8 drivers. It's not about the 15 or 20 that it was earlier after all the wrecks, but these 3 just continue to sit back here at the end of this pack and just kind of let it work itself out and try to pick them off towards the end. As now Spencer's looking under TCB, but it's just funny watching those guys sit back there and trying to see if they can pick them off as the run goes on.
Sit back and pick them off seems to be a strategy that Shane Nicewanger is employing well. Like we said earlier on, he was sitting back there in about the 13th position. Now, through all these wrecks, he's worked his way up solidly to the 4th position here as Nathan Jump. And as I say that, caution is out on the speedway. I believe that's the 91 of Austin Moore, slow on the front stretch. We see damage to the 4 of Rod Fosna. I believe the 5 of Brent Kingcott. His teammate was back there as well. We're going to have to go back and get a replay of this as we were focused on this battle up here in the front. Apparently action was happening in the back.
Yeah, I was kind of focused on Nathan Jump and Daniel Nanny there, but it looks like we had some trouble back there around 22nd, 23rd.
Austin Moore trying to rebound with that damage that happened earlier on in the previous caution, it just looks like Rod goes down low, gets in the grass, kind of loses it a little bit, and has to gather it back up. Unfortunately, in his gathering it up, Austin Moore is an innocent bystander to his outside. With just a harmless little spin there, I'm sure Austin can come down and get that damage repaired. But we'll have to see how that affects the rest of that damage that he's already taken. I'm sure it can't be helping it. But here on lap 52, little spin here on the front straightaway with contact between the 4 and the 91.
Yeah, bizarre little moment. I think Rod mentioned that he had some wheel damage under the truck, so it's probably not really driving to his liking. Slipped out from under him there in the middle of the corner. Austin Moore not really knowing what was going on, couldn't really react quick enough. Probably has some damage himself after hitting the wall as hard as he did with the other incident that happened before. Just
That's
in
really
the wrong
one of
place,
those.
wrong time.
That's really one of those events that just happens in slow motion right in front of you when you're in the car. You can see them going low, and you're like, no, as they come back up the track, and you feel and hear every breath that you take in the moment as you see them coming back up. As we've got pit stops coming on the racetrack, everybody elects to come down pit road here as Daniel Nanny leads them on to pit road.
Yeah, I think this will be your most normal pit stop here. Just 4 tires and fuel. We're just past the halfway mark. This is a one-stop race from here, about lap 75, it looks like. So just probably 4 tires and fuel, and they'll call it good. Well, actually, might not be a one-stop race. I heard the pit window is about 21 to 24 laps. See, Ashton looks like he may have taken 2 tires, trying a different strategy again. It didn't work out the first time. Let's see if he can make it work this time. But we'll have to see how this pit strategy works out, considering it's lap 52. And if you can do 24 laps, you can definitely do it on one stop. If you can't get all 24 laps out of it and you got to save some, it'll be interesting to see if this turns into a fuel mileage race.
Everybody here right on the fringe, the absolute limits of that pit window there. We'll have to look and see who is able to make it and who is going to run out. It seems like this track, always real life and in sim, has a habit of becoming a fuel mileage race. Do you have any idea as to why it seems like that all the time? Is it just the length of these races that just happens to be that way?
I think it has to do with the fuel and the length. Yeah, 21 to 24 laps in a 100-lap race kind of equates to about, it's just short of 3 stops. You're about a lap or 2 short if you can save all 24 laps. So it just lines up that way. And then you get cautions, and the cautions kind of fall at the awkward points. We had a caution at about lap 12 halfway through the first run. We had a caution about lap 23 at the end of the first run. So between all that, it just really puts you in a box, and you just gotta manage it from there.
Shane Neiswanger's just sent me a message here saying that he's been having trouble passing at this track. And I don't think that's a product of the tire and the way the track is. I think that he's just stuck behind those 2 E95 teammates and has nowhere to go. He's got up about as far as he can without taking the fight to them. That's the next checkpoint for him. Shane Neiswanger having a little trouble with those 2 cars there in front of him with Nanny and Madalinas.
I was gonna say, I think he's kind of at an inroads here with who he's racing up against. That outside lane's really the only lane that rolls, and if he's got 2 teammates and 4 teammates in front of him, it's gonna be real hard to try to manage that. It's always been an issue here. If you can get 2 or 3 guys on your team up front, you can manage the whole race. It's just like Daytona or Talladega. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages that without teammates. I mean, he's just got Mike McConville up there, not on his team. Matt Durr's been around, but hasn't been able to hold the ground up there. So we'll have to see how he can manage that. But he's looking like 5th fiddle here behind these 4 teammates.
A little bit of contention back there for the 8th place restart position there between Conville and Spencer. Had to get that sorted out real quick as they've got it all under wraps. The pace car dives onto pit road. Ashton Lawson's going to lead him to the green here from the outside lane. Really interesting as to why he didn't pick that inside lane to try and split up those E95 drivers. Regardless, he gets away and tries to bring Nathan Jump and Zach Henry along with him.
Maybe that's his strategy. You got to think Madalinas is technically the points leader, and everyone looks at Nanny as a pretty big competitor here. But I think that's going to help Madalinas and Nanny because they're going to be able to drive around the bottom. If Madalinas can clear here, which he does, they're good to go up, and they're ahead of the 2511 boys, but he didn't split either teammates up. 2511 held that outside, and E95 had the inside. Now they're going to have to fend off against Nathan Jump, who's trying to work that outside lane. Madalina's going to potentially slide up, not there, so it's going to be Madalina's getting held out. Nanny's going to go to the bottom, try to help him out, though.
Nathan Jump just hung out Ashton Lawson to dry, and it didn't help either of them. Move both E95 drivers back to 1 and 2 positions respectively, as Nathan Jump tries to take the fight to Hunter Madalinas there on the outside. They're 2x2 behind Daniel Nanny there, as Ashton Lawson is falling back through this field. Had a really bad 1 and 2 there. He's still falling back down the back.
I think Ashton's in it for the tires at this point. He knows what he has, and he doesn't have a piece. So he's going to drop back here and just kind of settle in and see how this race plays out for him. Jump's going to somehow split the middle. They're 3 wide for the lead, and now they're going to have to sort that out going into 1 and 2. Zach's going to give the push to Jump. Where else is anyone else going to go? Shane looks like he's going to go to the outside. TCB is going to go right up the middle, and that'll leave Madalinas out to dry in the bottom lane.
The E95 trust has been busted, as here comes TCB to follow those two 2511 drivers through. TCB is back after being involved in that wreck early on. Nobody is helping these E95 guys. Shane pushes TCB through to try and get clear of Daniel Nanny. Doesn't look like he's going to get it this time. They're going to be 2x2 off of turn 4. The 2511 guys are back out front. TCB's back up. We've got a team war going on here.
How about Nanny making a move to the outside of Zach Henry there? It's going to be interesting where TCB decides to take all this. I don't think TCB wants to work with Nanny, but it might be his best option. They nearly make contact in the middle of 1 and 2. They're still not done. TCB's trying to save the truck. He's good now, but man, is that thing a handful for him. Zach's stuck on the bottom. Jump's going to try to pull him with the draft, as now we've got E95 back on the top lane with Madalinas and Daniel Nanny.
Shane Neiswanger doesn't know who to help. He's helped TC. He's pushed TCB. He's pushed Madalinas. He's pushed Nanny. He's pushed both of the 2511 guys. Shane's just is the pusher in this race, as I think he's just trying to make his way to the front and can't find a way to break up these teammate pairings that seem to just appear around him.
I was going to say, he looked like he had the option there when he pushed TCB, but he got kind of stuck in the middle. TCB didn't clear anybody and ended up shuffling them both back out. Nanny somehow got to the outside of Nathan Jump, who's dedicated to Zach Henry, and that's going to be kind of the Achilles heel of these teammates. They're going to be dedicated to each other. Nanny's dedicated to Madalinas, and Jump nearly makes contact with Nanny, but those two on the bottom are going to be dedicated to each other. So if you can split them, you can potentially make it work for yourself. Nanny making the outside work really well, but it's going to be splitting up this top 4 and doing something with it. TCB and Shane can do that, but they've got to work together on it.
Team games being played here as we are at lap 60 of this 100 lap event. Going through the top 10 here, we've got a pair of 2511 drivers, a pair of E95 drivers, 1 Dark Horse driver, a Team TCB, 1 Mike McConville. I'm not really sure who he's affiliated with, if anyone. Jackson Sims is the lone KFM driver up there, and then you've got Spencer Owens, Matt Durr, Michael Sinzi, I believe that's Jared Darling, and Gavin Fitzgerald back there in a pair of the Giant Tiger trucks, as all the heavy-hitting teams have come out to play as they flash back and rocket off into 1.
It looks like they're starting to leave the 2511 guys. It looks like those tires are starting to go away, and Shane might have his opportunity to break into this a little bit. Remember, Madalinas was caught down on the bottom for the majority of the start of that run, so if Shane can split the 25 and the 9, he would basically just be racing the 30 again. It's going to be hard to do anything, but if he can split them and get Jump to work with him, I think that's his best option to potentially get around Nanny here.
We have got a 14-car breakaway here at the front of the field. It's a huge gap, a 20-second gap almost back to the 16th position of Nicholas Caressel, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is. Well, no, that's James Shiflett there hanging off the back of him. And then, yeah, it's Nicholas Caressel back behind him, 2 seconds back. This whole gaggle here, you've got that. It's kind of split up into two packs of its own here. We've got all the guys here at the front, this top 7 or 8 that we've been talking about this entire time. as big contact there in between Zach Henry and TCB. TCB trying to give him a little bit of a push there on his favorite bottom lane as nothing doing. The 2511 drivers have been split up. Here comes E95, and here comes Shane Nicewonger in tow down into one.
I was going to say, this is Shane's shot right here. He's got to hold that outside. He's got McConville, so he has help. McConville's not specific to anyone. He's going to go with the 49, and you just got to wonder what Jump's going to do in this situation. If he's smart, he'll potentially back up to the 12 and try to get in line and just kind of feel this one out. They've already lost that inside ground. I don't know that they can keep doing it, but they've been trying all day to make it work, and it's been working sometimes. Sometimes it just doesn't really work throughout the run, so he still seems dedicated to it right now for the moment.
Nathan Jump, stubborn as always, trying to still take the fight wherever he is, as he's side by side with McConville now, sliding back ever so slightly. He tucks back in line in the fifth position there, dives back down underneath McConville, still trying to take it to him in two.
Madalinas almost gave up that top side and gave Shane a little bit of an opening and a window there. If he does that again, Shane will fill it because that's his only opportunity. Shane knows if he goes to the bottom, he's just going to get held out, just like they just did with Nathan Jump and they did with Madalinas earlier. So it's going to be hard to kind of make that work all by yourself. You're going to need to get that run down the straightaway and get to the outside. But if Nanny just holds to the outside wall, they can just keep moving how they are.
It looks like Mike McConville's rear tires are starting to affect him a little bit. He had a bit of a moment there coming from the top of the racetrack in 3 to the bottom of the racetrack in 4 as Nathan Jump looks to take advantage here on the inside. Big run from Nathan Jump. Is he going to be able to clear him in 2? I don't believe so as they come back up onto the back straightaway.
Ashton Lawson may have had a moment at some point. He's now being shown out of the race. Sensi, Shiflet, and I believe Sims have all lost touch with this group. They've dropped well off. So it looks like there's about an 8 or 9 truck pack up here, and they've all kind of sorted it out. It just looks like Jump wants McConville, and he's got help from Henry to get it. They've just got to get both of them clear, as I believe Gavin just caught the outside wall. Sims is going to go to the inside now.
The top 3 have all sorted it out. In the middle of this pack here, you've got 5 trucks under a blanket as Mike McConville and Nathan Jump are still fighting side by side. Further on back, Gavin Fitzgerald, Jackson Sims are side by side off of 2. Look for them. They've been quietly making their way back up here to these top positions here. If there's any bobble here, they're not too far back where they can jump on anybody who makes a mistake. So look for them to take advantage of any little bobble that comes out here as TCB almost, goodness, he just fit a truck where a truck should not have gone. I've never seen anything like that off of 3. TCB, big moment there off of 4.
I think Spencer had the same reaction you did. TCB radios, that was bad. And it certainly was. Barely fit that hole in there with the 25 truck, or with the 3 truck, sorry.
The top 3 have a little bit of a breakaway here. How much distance do you need? Now, it looks like it's about 3-4 car lengths between Shane Nicewonger and Mike McConville. How much distance does a 3-car little group need to really break away from the rest of this field?
As much as you can give me. I think they need to just keep going. The problem is they just got around McConville, who I think was the one that was struggling with tires. So I believe those guys, if they can all clear McConville, will be able to drive back up to this front 3. But if they could have kept going, gotten about a half second to a second out, they can really start driving away there. But you can see Jump's already working that bottom lane, and they're getting there.
Jump coming back into the picture here as Mike McConville starts to slip and slide back through this field here. He's still back in 5th, but TCB is taking the fight to him and Zach Henry at the same time here on the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3 coming out of 4. He's the only truck that's not in a single file line all the way back to the 17th position.
Jump's trying to get Shane to pull out. Shane's comfortable in 3rd right now. I think he knows you're not going to split up the 9 and the 30, so you can see Jump go right to the bottom.
Jump
Shane
doesn't
didn't
care.
want to go
He's
with
going
him.
to try and do it anyway. Oh, he tags Madalinas. Madalinas hangs on to it 3 wide down the back. Big moment. You got to think Hunter's not happy with Jump at that one.
Yeah, some choice words on the radio there, and they're going to continue on. Nanny's going to have his hands full here in a second. Shane's going to have a lot of options.
This is Shane Nicewanger's opportunity. He's just clear of Nathan Jump here. Look for them. They're going to try and draft back up to Daniel Nanny as Madalinas is battling side by side with Jump's teammate Zach Henry back there for the 4th position. Jump looks low on Shane. You gotta think that at some point Jump's gonna just tuck in line and commit to the ride here, but he is continuing to just try and island hop all of these drivers, getting his way back up to the front.
Madalenas can't seem to get clear of Zach. That's going to really hurt him at this point, and it looks like Nanny's just kind of holding his ground over Shane and Jump. He doesn't really know who he wants to pull. He keeps trying to pull Jump down the straightaway, but Shane in the corner. It looks like if he can just manage them staying side by side, he can kind of just manage both lanes.
I think that's exactly what he's doing. He is trying to keep those cars side by side. If they're stuck side drafting each other, they can't get a run on Nanny to come up and fight for that first spot, as Jump just squeezes in front of Nanny here, in front of Shane rather, trying to take the fight to Nanny. They're going to be side by side going into 3.
Jump is the only one that can make that bottom lane work as well as he can. No one else can actually pass people down there. Look at Zach drive it off into the corner. He slides the rear tires, trying to make that work. Jump is going to clear Nanny onto the front stretch, and Nanny's got to do something with it. He wants to go to the outside, but Jump's still blocking hard.
Big blocks being thrown here as they dive off into turn 1. It's Jump, Nanny, Nicewonger, and then a battle for 4th still between the 9 and the 12 with the 81 of Mike McConville in tow. Nathan Jump coming back up onto the back straightaway. Shane Nicewonger looked to have a little bit of a slide down there. There's now about a 4-car length gap in between him and the 2nd place car of Daniel Nanny, who is taking the fight back to Jump as there's contact in 3.
Yeah, Nanny and Jump made contact into the corner. Nanny didn't really like that, drove up into his door in the middle of the corner. They still somehow both hold the lead. Now Shane has options. He still doesn't want to do anything with it. He's going to try to look to the outside. Nanny throws a big block going into turn 1.
The draft is, you are seeing live a great example of how to work the draft here. Shane Nicewonger had 4 car lengths in between him and Nanny, and then as soon as the fight started happening up at the front, Shane drove right back to his bumper, as Zach Henry had a little bit of a moment there off of 2, not unlike Shane's the previous time by. There's a big gap back there. Look for him to close that back up using the draft, like I just said, as they're 3 wide back there coming off of 3. TCB down low, a little sideways underneath Spencer Owens. Spencer's going to be able to clear him here with a big run, as TCB has a moment coming off of 4.
Here comes Madalenas charging back up. He's not happy with how he was raced by Jump. Nanny's not happy with how he was raced by Jump. Let's see how they react to it. Nanny all over his bumper as everything's kind of calmed down behind him. There's a couple of guys still double file, but for now the race is on in that top 5, and it is all your heavy hitters up there.
Nanny and Madalenas are back nose to tail again. A little bit of a gap. Madalenas backs it up in the corner as Nanny takes the fight to Jump. They're going to come out and probably be nose to tail here, coming back across the start-finish line. Yep, here comes the bump. And, well, maybe not. Hunter didn't have as much of a run as I thought he would. Now there's the bump down there at the end of the front straightaway going down into 1 and 2. You have to think that Shane was trying to hold on to that 3rd spot and try and not let Madalenas get back hooked up to his E95 teammate. But the 9 truck is on a mission right now to get back to that 25, as the 30 is on a mission to be side by side with him in every turn 3 from here to the checkered.
I mean, it makes sense at this point. He doesn't have the pressure behind him. He knows Madalenas is going to help him instead of go against him, so you might as well try to make this pass work. Zach's still racing with Shane, so they've got a little bit of a cushion. Nanny will actually lead that lap by 4 thousandths of a second. And on top of that, we've still got a pit stop coming up here, probably in about 2 or 3 laps.
This is definitely going to... I don't believe there's any fuel saving happening up here in the top 5. Maybe further on there in the back, in the back of this little pack there, Jackson Sims, Michael Sinzi there, the 10th and 11th positions. They might have been taking it easy there, trying to save it. But up here in the front, they're still 2 wide, as Nathan Jump has been cleared now by Daniel Nanny with, Hunter Madalenas just squeezed him there. Jump's still trying to take the fight to him. They're 3 wide down into 1.
Jump's going to go anywhere they're not. He doesn't care at this point. Nanny's going to hold him way out wide. Madalena should be clear here, but can he get the run off the corner and actually stay ahead of Jump? He does. He can clear up. Nanny's now stuck on the bottom. A little bit of a switcheroo from the 9 and the 30. The 81's going to hit pit road, so these guys all have to be running out of fuel.
The 81 is on pit road. That's Mike McConville. This is lap 77. They're at 24 to go. Our pit window is 21 to 24 laps. That's going to be right at the edges. We've got more takers this time around. About half of the field just pit up here in the top 5 or top 10.
Yeah, Zach Henry got real loose off the corner there. Shane's going to push him, but there's about 6 trucks that stayed out and about 10 that decided to come down out of that about a group of 15 there. So we'll have to see how good these guys can get onto pit road with Shane, Zach, Madalenas, and Nanny.
Madalenas had the opportunity there to go up alongside of his E95 teammate, thought better of it because you've got to think that they're coming to pit road this time. Unfortunately, Zach Henry was able to squeeze back in front of him and prevent Hunter from getting down on the bottom there. It looks like, did Nanny just hold up that line to allow Madalenas to get... Oh, Shane, hold on to it, Shane! How did everyone in that group not wreck? They should be sideways on pit entry.
That's either going to save Shane's race by entering in pit road before all them, or he's going to be in big trouble now. I don't think he got a speeding penalty. It doesn't look like he hit the line bad.
He did just overshoot his box by just a smidge. He did have to back up, spend like a third of a second there to back up as the leaders, what soon to be will be the leaders, are going into 3 out of 4 this time. There is Nathan Jump and Spencer Owens are side by side. As that front group there that we just saw are now leaving pit road, there's going to be a gap in between these groups. It's just going to be a matter of how much.
Yeah, Shane was not speeding. I'm not sure that Nanny held Zach up or if they all just kind of got in the corner real awkward. I wouldn't be surprised if that was maybe a strategy to try to get Madalenas back to the front. These guys do have 1 lap fresher tires now. We'll have to see what they can do. Nanny definitely comes out on the worst end of the stick, but Madalenas, who made that move in the outside lane to get ahead of all these guys, is going to come out ahead of this whole group and in behind the top 3. But these top 3 are all over each other still with TCB and Spencer Owens and Nathan Jump.
Spencer Owens is that fourth, the fourth person in that friend group of Jared Darling, TCB, and Malad Radman. No shock to see TCB immediately push Spencer Owens right back to the front there as he was side by side with Jump. Look for those two to get hooked up here as Nathan Jump is not letting this lead go. He wants that clean air and he'll get it no matter what.
I think Madalenas has himself in a really good spot. He's just got to be really smart. You can see Zach Henry's held up with this group. Nanny's at the back end of this group. And then you've got a little group of 3 with, I believe that's Sensi, Nicewonger, and Matt Durr back there. They're just going to bide their time and wait this one out. They might just be banking on a caution, or they'll try to drive up there. That little trio can get up to the front if they work hard enough. They're just going to have to expend a little bit of tire to get up there. But if these guys all race really hard, they could use that to their advantage.
Meanwhile, back out in front, Nathan Jump and TCB have cleared Spencer Owens going down into 3. TCB throwing a huge fake there down low. Nathan Jump covers. TCB ducks back in line. They're going to be nose to tail with Hunter Madalenas coming up to push TCB. He's got the 3rd position now. They're nose to tail going down this front straightaway.
Madalenas going to jump out. He's going to go all the way to the bottom. Jump throws a massive block. I think Madalenas is done and fed up with it. He nearly drives into his door. They're still side by side for the lead now.
Big moves from Hunter Madalenas. He wants the lead now. He has driven back up from, I believe he was in about the 6th, 7th position after those pit stops came around. 3 wide. TCB takes to the bottom. Oh my goodness, it's like 3 dogs, 4 dogs, 5 dogs going for a bone here in the backyard as they come off of 4 rather. TCB is going to have the lead. Madalena's still looking down low. They're going to be side by side as they flash across the line.
Gavin Fitzgerald up the middle. He's to TCB's back bumper. Like I said, you got to be careful if you're Madalenas. You have the fresher tire. You just need the positioning. He has the positioning because he's right there with TCB. He just needs to relax and let this work itself out. But he can't get stuck on the bottom, and he knows that. He's working real hard. Here comes Nathan Jump to the bottom. He's going to take it 3. Madalena's not going to throw the block. They're 3 wide into turn 3 again.
There's still 3 wide. Gavin Fitzgerald trying to make it 4, thinks better of it, tucks back behind TCB. Madalenas had a little bit of a slide there up into TCB. He's going to get him loose there. There's still, doesn't matter, there's still going to be 3 wide, flashing across the stripe. Zach Henry's looking to make it 3 wide, 2 deep. Look like a squadron of fighter jets going off into 1.
Teammates in the middle, teammates on the bottom. Rando's up top. TCB getting a push from Gavin Fitzgerald. And they're 4 wide. Nanny's back up in the mix. Nathan jump all the way on the bottom. They don't know they're 4. They make contact down the backstretch. They survive somehow, some way.
It's turned. You had to know it was going to happen. Big contact. The yellow is not out. Everybody keeps it going straight. That's heavy contact for Nanny. We're going to have to see how that damage is gonna affect him. Meanwhile, back up at the front, they're hitting lap traffic now as Hunter Madalenas has found the lap car of his teammate in Austin Moore. My goodness, I gotta catch my breath after all that, and I wasn't even the one talking.
I'd say Nanny's truck is basically totaled at this point. He's already dropped outside of the top 10. His day has basically come to an end. He will not win this race. Just unfortunate. I believe he had led the most laps up until this point, or at least been in contention for that. The problem that they now face is 25-11 teammates right there, the 25 and the 12. They are going to hound Hunter Madalenas, who has fresher tires, but will have to hold off this charge. Gavin Fitzgerald's right there. We'll have to see what he does, but that's about Madalenas' only friend here in the last 15 laps.
Will that 1 lap of difference in the tires make that much of a difference as we get down to the closing laps of this run? Is that going to be the Achilles heel for Hunter Madalenas?
It can definitely be helpful, but it's going to be hard when you've got 2 guys drafting each other down on the bottom, and Gavin can't really. We haven't seen what Gavin can do all day. We don't know that he's a fast truck or not, so. Madalenas really doesn't have any friends besides Gavin, and you know that 25 and the 12 can push really hard and really well. So it's going to come down to what Gavin can do. That's basically all Madalenas can hope for, is that Gavin can actually push him, because that 1 lap of tires isn't going to make enough of a difference for him to sit here and just hold the lead over these 2 guys.
In this group of 4, I think Gavin Fitzgerald is just going to be fast by default. He's one of the ones, basically a race of attrition at this point, as we've had top runners been dropping like flies throughout this entire event. As we are at 14 laps to go here, we've got 4 evenly numbered groups. As we've got caution on the racetrack there, Gabe Truesdale's around right in front of the leaders.
The fact that they just all missed that is actually insane, and that flips the whole field. Nanny is not a lap down, but he did just pit there to repair some damage. I think that might bring him back into the mix as well.
Oh my goodness, how did everyone avoid a spinning Gabe Truesdale? Got nosed into the wall by the damaged truck of John Barry, I believe that is. Just two trucks going for the same real estate there. And boy, when Gabe spun back down across the track, it was right in the middle of all the leaders. Everyone escapes through. Big contact for Gabe Truesdale. You got to think that his day is all but done at this point. He's still being scored 39 laps down, still trying to make a valiant effort, but that's not going to help.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate position for him to be in, and really awkward spot on track as well, right in front of the leaders. Quick update on Nanny. He did have to pit for required repairs. He's still on pit road, probably going to go 2 or 3 laps down, potentially out of this race now. Probably just going to call for Madalenas and try to help spot him through the rest of this thing. But it's basically just going to be this whole reset, and we'll have to see what they do with tires. They've got an opportunity to pit. If they have more tire sets, they might as well take them. They'll come to green with about 10 or so laps to go, so they won't have to save anything, and they can just drive their hearts out at that point.
Boy, I don't know if you saw the replay there, but Gavin Fitzgerald, he's got a yellow and black truck, but he's going to be asking for his brown fire suit when he gets out of here. That was a big moment. He was so close to Truesdale as he was spinning back across the field. Speaking of which, the 14 car dives on the pit road. I believe this is definitely going to have everybody within the window here. So fuel strategy is out the window as everybody dives on the pit road here. We're going to go back to green with about 8 or 9 laps left. No more fuel saving. It's go time.
Jackson Sims has stayed out on pit road. Austin Moore will get his lap back. I believe Madalenas only got 2 tires right there.
I'm showing a 14.1 second stop. I don't believe that's the case.
They got 4.
Yep, everybody has taken 4. We're still not sure on the number of tires that they have. Maybe Sims is trying to save a set this late in the race, though. If they catch another caution, or if he catches another caution, rather, he's going to be the lone wolf up here in this snarling pack of fresh tires. If he is able to save a set, will that make any difference here?
Not with where they are anymore. I mean, they are they're in that window. There's, they're going to come to 10 to go, and if you get a yellow at this point, you're going to restart with 5 to go. So you can't make up 20 spots in 5 laps. If he'd pit there and come out about, I don't know, 15th or so, he'd have been fine, but he's going to restart about 20th if he ends up pitting from here on. So everyone's on 4. Jackson's the only one that isn't, so we'll have to see how that works out. Shane's actually talking to Gavin right now, asking if he took 2, and Gavin said no because Shane didn't know Gavin was up here. So a lot of these new faces sitting up here, and now you've got to deal with TCB and Gavin.
After that big shakeup there, everyone is now back all together as they start to double file up. We've got the 1 to go signal here. Remember, it's that small group of Shane Neiswanger and that was Cinzy and Durr that were all together there. They were making ground on that lead pack, especially with all that fighting that was going on up there. They've still got speed in those cars, and Shane's got something to say about it. I know he's going to be making noise here in the last 10 laps.
I really don't know what their plan is, but they're going to have to go hard here. They can't sit back and relax like they've been doing at certain parts of the race. So we'll have to see what those guys do. Sims, Neiswanger, and Sensi, who we're talking about. You know that TCB is going to drive up through the field. You know Nathan Jump wants to get going. And Jackson Sims actually picked the outside. He's got an Alliance teammate behind him, Gavin Fitzgerald, part of Spectrum Racing. And they're going to try to hold Sensi and they're going to try to hold Madalinas and Jump, at bay. But we'll have to see how that works out. I think that actually benefits Madalinas and Jump.
The pace car is leading, or the pace truck rather, is leading them down off of 3. We'll reset the running order for you here before we get going. It's Jackson Sims on the top side. He's got lane choice. He's in the first position. Madalinas to his inside in second. He's got Jump behind him in third. Gavin in fourth. Zach Henry in 5th, TCB in 6th, Shane in 7th, Jared Darling in 8th as the green flag is out. Jackson still gets a big jump on Madalinas. He's got him cleared. Unfortunately, his help in Gavin Fitzgerald doesn't get going, as it's now personal between Madalinas and Jump as they are going 3 wide for the lead. Jackson's not going to be able to hold him off there. He's going to drop back probably to the 10th position by the time he gets back down into at the end of the back straightaway there. Big pushes. They're 3 wide. Good Lord. There's just no break going into 3.
And Madalinas had no friends there. Gavin goes right up the middle. Jump wasn't going to give him a shot, so send Madalinas back to about 6th here. He's going to have to deal with that. And you got Jump getting a push from the 12 truck of Henry on the bottom, and TCB's right there.
You got to find your friends where they are, or where you are, rather, as we're getting down close to, we are at 9 to go this time. Nathan Jump with his teammate Zach Henry in tow leads them off of 2. It really looked like going through the try over there, the bottom lane was where everybody was lined up there as they were hanging everybody out on the top side. TCB with those fresh tires hugging that yellow line through 3 and 4. He's going to take them 3 wide. They'll still be 3 wide when they come across the stripe. 7 to go this time. Or 8 to go, rather.
TCB is your big player here. It depends what he does. He's going to be the one that can split up the 25-11 guys. These guys on the outside are just all going to have to sit there and make this work. Madalinas' only hope is to push Gavin out clear of these guys and have TCB come to his back bumper. But TCB's the only person that can really split up that inside. They're wrecking at the back. We're going to get a yellow.
Nick Caressel is around off of the nose of Malad Radman, who is miraculously on the lead lap after all that damage that he had. Harmless little spin there. I didn't see any contact outside of the initial spin, but an unfortunate happening for Nicholas Caressel. He was up in the 14th position there after starting 24th. Unfortunately, looks like he's gonna go back to the 24th position when all is said and done.
Well, we get to reset and restack here, and We get to see what happens now that Madalina's got to see what Jump did to him. He gets to try the same thing this time around because he'll have. Well, actually, it's going to put Gavin on the inside and put probably the 225-11 guys on the top since Zach Henry's back there in fourth. So this is still going to get dicey. It's going to depend on how Gavin gets through the gears and gets this restart done, or if Madalinas takes it 3. But I can almost promise you Madalinas will take this one 3 on the start.
As they catch the pace car, or the pace truck rather, going back into 3, this is that scenario that I was talking about where cautions at the end of this race tend to just keep on coming. Do we see Jackson Sims come down and take perhaps a set of tires? Does he have another set? We don't know. He's high on the racetrack right now, so it doesn't look like it. But even if he did, like you said, he might not have anything. But I think it would have been interesting to see if he did. Looks like everybody's going to stay out on the racetrack, save maybe Radman, who's going to come down. And I believe, is that Louis Woodall who got caught up in that? He's going to come down too.
Yeah, it looks like a couple guys towards the back pitting, but the front 10, 15 all stay about the same. And I thought maybe Jackson just had a set of tires left to save it, but it turns out I guess he just didn't have anything left, and this is where he's at. He's hoping for big junk, which we almost had about 2 different times there. So still not over for him. Again, Austin Moore just got back on the lead lap. He's still 20th after being involved in multiple incidents too. Preston Henry's getting a lap back here. So anything can happen to any of these guys. Preston's actually go back to the lead lap from this one. So just staying in it. You might gain a few spots. They might all wreck on this white flag.
With Preston Henry being the lucky dog this time around, we'll have 24 trucks back on the lead lap. And the way they've been racing, every single one of them has a shot to win it. If they can just avoid the carnage that may or may not ensue. My bet, however, is just mayhem in the closing laps here. Just the way they've been racing. It's been awesome to watch all day long. Thanks for tuning in with us on the Split Second Broadcasting Twitch channel. We're going to have 6 to go here. Looks like 5 to go when we come back, or 4 to go rather when we come back green. Does anybody have anything for Nathan Jump, as he's going to be the leader here when we go green?
I'll tell you about the only 2 or 3 guys that did were probably Hunter Madalinas and Daniel Nanny, but Madalinas doesn't seem to have any friends up front. We don't really know what Shane and Zach can do, but Zach seems dedicated to make sure that Jump can win this thing, and that's probably, the right approach from a team perspective, and Zach needs a decent run for himself, but he's already pretty high up in there, so he's not too bad off. I think he's content in just getting Jump up there. It's going to come down to these guys that are running about 5th or 6th, TCB, Michael Sensi, Jackson Sims, Jared Darling, Spencer Owens. Like, these guys can still make moves. It just depends where they want to go with them and who they want to work with, because the 25-11 guys are going to stay together. Madalinas has no friends. I doubt he wants to work with Gavin now. Who does Shane go with? Who does TCB go with? Those guys don't really have friends up here either. So it's all going to depend where the runs end up coming from and where they're trying to go.
It's been the teammate game here in years past, and like just in all of recent memory, it seems that whoever's got the teammate is going to be the one who finishes this race out in front. We've got the 25-11 guys in Nathan Jump and Zach Henry there in the 12. They've been the predominant pairing here late in the race this season. Last season, it was Milad Radman and TCB who were just putting a whooping on the field for the entire time, not unlike their Daytona performance. In seasons prior to that, it's been yourself and Daniel Nanny, yourself and Jake Miller. The 25-11 pairing of Brandon Markuski and Chris Heller of years past have been good here. It's whoever's pairing can have the best performance here and stay hooked up the longest seems to be the ones to beat, as we're about to go back green.
Who's going to do it?
Pace car dives on the pit road. Green flag is back out. The 25-11 guys coordinating their jump as Jump flashes away. It doesn't look like his teammate Zach Henry is going to clear Gavin Fitzgerald, but Jump's going to cover off the position going down into 1.
Yeah, it's going to depend. Do you see Madalinas give Gavin a shove there? He's trying to get underneath him. He was hoping he'd get him up the hill a little bit. He's going to. TCB's going to push Madalinas. They've got the run down the bottom. They need to get Zach out of there. TCB doesn't go with Madalinas. Now they're going into turn 3.
Big three cars all pushing each other on the high side. You had Jump, Henry, and Nicewanger all there. They're still 3 wide there for the second position as Madalinas is down low. He's got the run with TCB. Gavin's in the sucker hole. TCB's now going with him. And it's Zach Henry and Nicewanger up top. They're 3 wide, all under a blanket. You've got, oh my gosh, 7, 8, 9 cars.
Madalinas has got to be frustrated. He sees teammate Michael Sensi behind him. Gavin up into Zach. They save it. They're off each other, but that was all because Madalinas and Gavin made contact. TCB goes with Madalinas now. They're 4 wide for second. Jumps just looking in his mirror, just smiling. Here they go into turn 3 one more time.
4 wide this time. This is Shane Nicewanger's moment as Gavin's down. Gavin gets turned off of the nose of Jared Darling. Zach Henry's involved. Those are 3 big hitters that have all been claimed once again. In the closing laps here, we're going to go to overtime. In this one, unfortunate ending to Gavin's race. He was running so well. Man, Zach Henry too. That's got to be painful. 2 big front runners being taken out late in this event.
Not a single person has friends in the top 5. Well, Shane and Matt Durr can work together, and they're actually going to be hooked up on the bottom. They're probably the only 2 that can make something happen. They're going to have to get to the bottom here. And then you've got Sensi and Madalinas with TCB in between them. TCB was on E95 last season, split off, went his own way with Radman and made his own team. There might be some desire to work there, but TCB typically a lone wolf and just wants to get that W at the end of the day. So, I mean, at this point, we took away the dominant 2. Zach Henry he's still up here, and he doesn't look like he's damaged, but he's not in it.
This is going to be a shootout at the OK Corral. The OK Corral being the Michigan International Speedway, as we've got all but 2 representatives, 2 teams up here now have pairings. That's Madalinas in the second position, has Michael Sensi back in 6th. Now they're not going to be hooked up together like Shane and Matt will, but if Madalinas falls back at all or Sensi can get up there, look for those 2 to get hooked up here as the lone wolves indeed of Nathan Jump and TCB. That's about the only way you can describe their type of racing today. Downright wolvish, as they've just been fighting and clawing all afternoon.
Looked like there that Zach actually took a bit harder hit than I would have imagined. So he might be pretty hurt on this start. We'll have to see if he can get going, but he might just be too far back to make something work over 2 laps. It's just going to have to come down to what Nathan Jump really does, and if Madalinas can get a push from TCB. The positive for Madalinas compared to what he's been in before is TCB's a great pusher. He's an incredible pusher. So if he can actually help Madalinas on this start, if this all assumes that Jump picks the inside, they can actually go somewhere. But I think Madalinas is in a good spot here. I just think it's gonna come down to who can do the better pushing and who has the tire to actually get through the corner. Because these trucks, we haven't talked about it all day, but these trucks get very, very loose and they have very minimal grip in the middle of the corner. We've seen a couple guys do a little bit of a slide, but when you've got a truck directly behind you pushing, it amplifies that, and it could ultimately just spin you out with aero without even really a touch. So we're going to have to see how aggressive these guys get here. You can't just push all the way around the track like you can at, a Talladega or Daytona.
Boy, the caution flag comes out here in the last little bit, and the politicking begins. Let's stack them up for you as they're 2 by 2, getting ready to go green this time. Nathan Jump out in front has elected the bottom. That will put Hunter Madalinas on the outside. Behind Jump in 3rd, Shane Nicewanger. Worth noting, the 2511 camp and the Dark Horse camp all practice together during the week. They have each other's notes, and they know how each other runs. I believe that's why Jump has picked Shane, looking for any teammate that he can find up there. Meanwhile, to their outside, TCB, like you mentioned, was on E95, a teammate of Hunter Madalinas' last season. There's got to be a relationship still there. Matt Durr will line up in the 5th position behind Shane. That's going to give 3 cars to that inside push. And actually, there's going to be 3 cars on the outside as that black 37 of Michael Sensi has made his way up into the 6th position. You got to think it's just going to be a chariot race to the end here.
Oh, it's gonna. We've seen action. We're gonna see more action. It's not over, and we've only got a couple laps to settle it. We may see another wreck. We may see another green, white, checkered. We'll have to see how Zach Henry gets up through the gears. But the big thing is you gotta watch that top 3 or 4. It all depends on how they get off turn 2. Remember, Jump is best on the bottom. He's not gonna give it up.
The pace car dives on the pit road here. Maybe for the last time, maybe not. We'll see here as the green flag's back out. Jump gets a big shot down the back, down the front, and Shane's not with him. Must have mistimed that as Madalinas has cleared Shane. He's going to tuck back in, cover off the position. It's Jump, Madalinas, Shane Neiswanger has cleared TCB going into 1 out of 2. He's got Matt Durr in tow.
Where does Manolinas go? And does anyone go with him? He fakes to the top. He goes to the bottom. Shane goes to the top. Jump blocks to the bottom. Shane's gonna have help from Matt Durr, and it's all gonna depend on what Madalinas wants to do now. Is he gonna just shove Jump off into the corner? He doesn't. He lifts a bit. Shane to the outside. Jump has been able to hold the bottom the whole time as they come to the white flag. Can he do it for one more lap?
Jump covering off both positions here, like a mama defending her nest. He elects to pick the inside here as we're on the white flag lap. This is not the race, is it? Wait, yeah, this is the one to go. I apologize. Jumps down on bottom. Here comes Neiswanger on the outside with Matt Durr in tow.
Michael Sensi, not really a lot of help. Madalinas can't do a whole lot from his position either. He's going to shove Nathan Jump off into the corner. Jump's going to be somewhat clear of Shane. Shane bobbles in the corner. Jump moves up. Here comes Madalinas to the inside. Shane's going to door him. They're side by side coming to the line.
Coming to the line across it, it's going to be Nathan Jump getting the win with Hunter Madalinas and Shane Neiswanger coming in second and third respectively. What a finish, as this has been just the most action-packed race of the season so far, of the 3 races we've had, and one of those was Daytona. This one takes the cake.
Madalinas is bridesmaid for the 3rd week in a row. You gotta wonder what he could have done different there. You gotta wonder what Shane could have done different. But how about that? Nathan Jump said, I'm gonna put it on the boards and I'm gonna show you what I can do. Put me in that top 3 and I'm gonna get there.
He took it personally when we were talking to him, or talking last week. We left him out of that top 3 that we had mentioned. It was Radman, Madalinas, and Zach Henry were our picks. Nathan Jump said, "Excuse me, I've got something to say," and in such impressive fashion manages to hold off just about the entirety of the top 10. They were all bearing down on him like a pack of wolves on a rabbit, and he manages to run away with this victory here. Congrats to Nathan Jump. He's going to get to do some burnouts down here on the front stretch here. We'll get an interview up here with him in just a little bit. Meanwhile, Hunter Madalinas coming home second. You got to feel for him. Bridesmaid for the 3rd time again, like you said. You got to think that it's just a matter of when he's going to break through and get that first win of the season. Shane Neiswanger, an impressive 3rd. We'll get him up in here. Your top 3 is going to be your interviews. What a race. Have you ever seen anything like that, Elliot, in GLR?
I feel like we've seen it a couple times, but maybe nothing to that extent. That was definitely one of the best finishes we've had in a while. Not the closest, but man, coming down to that 2nd, 3rd place finish, they were all right there. Wow, I'm flabbergasted. We've got interviews though. We've got Shane about to come up.
Quick time! I was trying to turn that off.
Shane Neiswanger, it's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
How's it going?
We're doing after all of that, we are just about out of breath. I don't know about you. I'm sure your heart was racing there on the end. Take us through those last couple laps there, that last green, white, checkered. And did you have anything else for him? Did something just not go your way? What happened there?
Yeah, I choked that one. So I didn't think I'd be able. I mean, this race, I hope it was entertaining for you, because I didn't enjoy riding the middle lane from 15th all the way up into the top 5 all night. Once I got up to the front and for that final green, white, checkered, I never expected to get back on the outside, and coming into 3, I was right where I wanted to be. And I think out of the corner of my eye, I saw Jump go for it. And looking at the replay, the one chance I got, he had a good push from, I think, the 37 and the 9. And I was just worried about him sending it in a little bit too deep. So I wanted to make sure I at least finished the race. And when I took some of the wheel out of it, it killed the run out of the corner. So I'm pretty sure it was Jump the last time I won here. He raced me pretty clean, so I wanted to make sure I didn't ruin it for him. So good win to Jump tonight.
Well, you guys were sure racing, that's for sure. Whether or not it was clean bumping all night long, that's between the two of you. But it was awesome to watch up here in the booth. Um, I quite frankly, I am just at a loss for words at that finish. How did it feel to have your teammate up there, Matt Durr? I know uh, throughout this entire event, it seemed like having a teammate was the way to go. Could he have pushed you any better? Do you think that the pairing of you really had a shot for any of these guys up here?
No, I don't think there was much Matt could have done. This isn't, on him. The 9 and the 37 lined up behind Jump, and if Matt did get to me, he would have hit me in the corner, and it more than likely would have taken some of the downforce off of the back of the truck, and I probably would have won around. So, I mean, all things considered, I either win here or wreck. So third's a lot better than wrecked.
We
Good
did
point
we did
taken.
mention that that little tidbit of information there. Thanks for relaying that to us earlier on in the day. Um, you mentioned not being happy with the with how with how the track was racing, being stuck there in that middle lane, riding it the entire way. Next week we go to Iowa, which is going to be a completely different animal. How are you feeling going into that one there? I know we haven't been there in a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't run that track lately, but I think it'll drive more like how this place used to, uh, which was you could pick a couple different lanes, and how you got to the front depended on how you used the throttle, and you just couldn't do that tonight. So hopefully we get back to that next week.
Shane Nicewonger, looking forward to next week at Iowa. One last thing before we let you go here. Do you have anybody to thank here for your third place victory or third place finish tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody who supported the league tonight and watched. I know it means a lot to us, and we're trying to put on a good show for everybody. Um, Thanks to my dad. I know he's always watching the races. He's out on the road, so hopefully he caught this one. And yeah, thanks to you guys for coming off the track and doing this for us.
It was certainly a pleasure to watch you run up through the field all night long and there at the end have all but the win there. That was an awesome thing to see. Thanks for talking to us, Shane. Shane Nicewonger with a solid third place position tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, next up we've got Hunter Madalinas, and I'll be honest, I'm running out of questions here because I've interviewed him for 3 weeks straight now. But another P2. I know you're not happy about it, but with how a lot of the end of that race went, it didn't look like you were going to end up anywhere up near there, especially with your teammate getting taken out. How did you guys manage that race, you and Nanny, to manage to stay up? I believe you guys had an average running position both inside the top 5. How did you end up with that?
Yeah, me and him were, communicating that whole stint that he was up there with us. I mean, we were picking lanes, we were choosing who to go with, who to not go with to kind of better ourselves, and that was, I think, the way me and him were both able to stay up there the whole time was we'll stick together where other guys didn't have any teammates to really work with, and we were able to just capitalize on it.
Yeah, you guys definitely made a good showing of it. The only other competition we really had was the 225-11 guys until Shane and the Dark Horse boys got up there. But is there anything you think you could have done on that last lap? It looked like you kind of lost momentum on both of your maneuvers there, and there was a lot of maneuvering in the final corner, and I believe you may have doored Shane. Is there anything you may have wanted to get back there?
Um, yeah, it was kind of tough in the position I was because on one hand I could have went for a 3 wide, but there was a greater risk at losing positions out of that, where it was just push, jump, and pray he made a mistake in 3 and 4, which he did. Um, and we were able to get to the inside of him. We just weren't able to do anything with it. And the only reason I got into Shane a little bit there was just trying to get the best position I could coming to the finish.
Well, unfortunately, it's P2 again, but I think that puts you in a really good spot points wise. You're obviously going to be the points leader leaving here, and you can look forward to Iowa and some other tracks that you feel a little bit more comfortable at, and you've survived this one, which seems to have eliminated a lot of top names, or at least put them back pretty far. So, anyone you'd like to thank for today's run?
Yeah, thank you guys for broadcasting this. Everyone who's out there watching, thanks for the U95 guys. The teamwork tonight was really good to keep us all up there, and just ready to talk to you guys next week.
That's Hunter Madalinas with his third straight second place finishing position here. Thanks for talking to us, Hunter.
Yep, thank you guys.
And last but certainly not least, after all is said and done here, we've got our winner here in the booth. Nathan Jump, it's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
Oh, my guys, what's up?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, man. You must have taken that. We were talking about it all night. You must have taken that that top that top 3 comment pretty personally here. First of all, congratulations on the win. How were you able to just keep up there all night long battling with those guys?
Just risking it every single time, going low where everybody wanted to line up on the outside and play it safe. I'm glad it worked out. I got rewarded for risking it, which usually doesn't happen for me, but yeah.
Definitely taking the fight to everyone else, and it had to have been what kept you up there. It was awesome to watch you fight all night long. You had your teammate there, Zach Henry, just about the entirety of the race, and Chris Heller earlier on. How did the race change after you lost both of those guys, where it was just you up there?
Well, I had to earn it. I was fighting them off. They were swarming up on me. We lost Chris on pit road because he got shoved through the cone or whatever, and he got a black and then an EOL. I don't know how all that works, but I don't know if it's entirely fair to Chris for getting shoved and then catching the EOL. And then he was involved in a wreck right after him. Zach got involved in another crash there at the end, but he was a man, sticking with me all night.
Definitely a team performance from all of you. It was awesome to watch all of you race up there. Pretty much the entirety of the race, somebody from 2511 was up there contending for that lead. Next week we head off to a little bit of a different track here. We're going up to Iowa there. It sounds like you're excited about that one. How are you feeling going into it?
Well, I'm excited because these big tracks suck, man. That short track, that's gonna be fun. That's where I have fun at, and I think I'm best at short tracks. But hey, man, appreciate y'all doing this broadcast. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I could win. I haven't won on a broadcast in a while, and yeah, again, shout out Zach for helping me out. And man, just glad to get the win. I don't want to make any bad comments here because I got the W, but I just hope you know what? I'll hold my mouth. I'll hold my mouth.
Nathan Jump got something to say, but he's not going to say it, and I'm not going to pry on it just to not stir up the drama on that one.
Hey, y'all are going to put me in that big 3 conversation now, I think.
I think both of our foots are in our mouths on that one. Congratulations and welcome to the winners column.
All right, appreciate it, bro. Hey, y'all have a good night, man. Appreciate it.
You too, Jump. That's Nathan Jump there is your winner here at Michigan International Speedway. Thanks for talking to us, Jump.
Yes, sir.
Well, Elliot, after all said and done, how did that race stack up compared to Michigan's of yesteryear?
I'd say it gave us everything we wanted out of it. I mean, it had the finish we wanted. It definitely created the drama with the points. Madalina's going to come out 2 points ahead, jumps all the way up 2/3, so literally inside the top of the big 3. So we've got a lot of maneuvering around. Sensi with a big gain in points. Aiden DuPont loses out, but a lot of shuffling here. So it'll be interesting to see now that we've gotten out of the big tracks and we start to change pace into Iowa and some of the other ones. We'll see how these guys really start to fare. But big shout out to Eric Kepf as well. We didn't talk about him literally all night. Him and Spencer Owens. Owens kind of got up to a top 10 and flirted around there, but Eric Kepf gained 21 spots tonight and ended up with a top 10 finish after falling out during qualifying, having an internet issue and not making qualifying efforts. Started all the way at the back and drove all the way up to 9. So kudos to him. Good job, and we'll run through the results here and start shipping off to Iowa.
Last little run through the results here. Obviously, Nathan Jump, we've talked to him. He's your winner here at Michigan. Madalinas brings it home second for a third straight time. We have to know that it's his win is coming this season. Shane Neiswanger rallies to third after starting way back in 15th position. A nice effort from him to claw his way rather all the way up the leaderboards to that one. That's an awesome showing for him. His dark horse teammate there, Matt Durr, rounds it out in the 4th position there, and Michael Sinzi brings the 37 truck home in 5th position up.
Yeah, TCB makes his way back up to 6th after being involved in that skirmish with Zach Henry and teammate Milad Radman. A good showing for him after what had happened. I'm sure he thought he'd be finishing a little bit better, but 6th is a good turnaround after that. As I mentioned before, Spencer Owens in 7th, Eric Kempf 9th. Mike McConville right in between them. Again, just a really good night. Quiet night. We mentioned his name a good bit, but he was in the top 10 pretty much all night long. Good little solid finish for him during all of that mayhem to still end up 8th. He was in the middle of all of that. Still came home 8th without a damaged truck. James Shiflett with the top 10. Really good run for him this early on in the season.
Mike McConville, after seeing that font, he's on Trent Curtis Racing. A good showing for them tonight. Feel bad for getting their team earlier on in this race. The rest of the running order here will take you through 11th through 20th. Jackson Sims comes home 6th. A solid performance from him. We saw him mixing it up there towards the back of that front little pack that was making all the noise there. With 3 laps led, he had something to say about it. Adam Zorn rallies to a 12th place finish. Rather good showing from him, coming up from 22nd. And his teammate Louis Woodall finishing in 13th, running his number there right behind him. Radman brings it home 14th after being involved in that early accident that really gave him a lot of damage. An awesome rally for him, trying to mitigate that damage to his point lead there that Madalinas is now definitely taken over. We'll have to I can't remember what Elliott said the points gap was, but a good night for him to rebound. And Nicholas Caressel rounding up the top 15. Solid running for him. Nice to see a new face running up in the top half of the field.
Preston Henry, he had a lot of issues tonight, but rallied, finished 16th after starting 16th. Just a nice solid run. I think that's something the rookie wants to put together and just, put together his top 15, try to find himself in contention for Rookie of the Season honors towards the end of the season. Robin Durr, a little frustrating night after starting in one of his better starting spots. He's really gotten the qualifying down, but can't seem to avoid the trouble in these races. Was caught in one of those accidents that happened on the backstretch. Finishes 17th after starting 7th. John Berry, same difference. Just really good start. Frustrating run throughout the night. Ends up 18th. Jared Darling, same story. These are all the guys that started getting involved in accidents and in all those skirmishes. Austin Moore also finishes 20th after rallying back and running about 25th for most of the night. But all 4 of those guys, just frustrating efforts and probably felt they had a better run.
Alex Fetter comes home 21st tonight. We're getting back to the guys that we didn't really get to mention a whole lot because of all the action that was happening up front. But Alex Fetter brings it home 21st. Zach Henry, unfortunate ending to his night after starting 2nd and battling for the lead just about all night. Brings it home 22nd. Rod Fosnob in the 4 truck brings it home 23rd. Gavin, you saw him finishes right where he started after his adventure up the leaderboard and then a quick adventure back down the leaderboard, unfortunately for him. And then Aiden DuPont brings it home in 25th after being involved in an early wreck. Unfortunate night for him.
Yeah, Brent Kingcott again involved in an accident, ends up 26th. Daniel Nanny led the most laps tonight, actually, 2 more than Nathan Jum, and will not see the checkered flag, finishes 27th, multiple laps down. Ashton Lawson, Gabe Truesdale, Chris Heller, same story, issues on pit road for Heller. Puts him 30th. Truesdale and Ashton Lawson, both involved in accidents, ended up retiring.
And your 31st position, we're going to list him last, but certainly not last in our hearts. Michael Barbagelata brings it home with massive damage. He was involved in the same wreck as Chris Heller. Wasn't able to rebound as very well at all. Unfortunate night for him. That's a look at your leaderboard. Now we take a look at the road ahead. We're through 3 weeks of the Great Lakes Truck Series. Daytona, Phoenix, Michigan, all checked off. As we talked about in our interviews, next week we head off to Iowa. Elliot, how are we feeling about that one going forward? A big change after this monster of almost a super speedway practically. We're going back to a short track.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who we'd look out for either. You know, Radman said that he's not going to be fast at these short tracks, and then he ended up winning Phoenix. So it'll be interesting. Spencer Owens has climbed his way up in the points, and he's usually a name that I feel like may not win, but he's going to run top 5, top 10, and just kind of cement himself as a potential chase competitor later on in this season. You know, Nanny's going to be fast there. Depends if he shows up with some of his other things that he has going on. But you got to imagine that guys like Madalinas, Jared Darling, Nicewonger, TCB, these guys are all going to be chomping at the bit to get to a, you know, I don't know that you'd consider Iowa a short track, but it's shorter than what we've been dealing with, so we're going to keep calling it a short track for now. There's a lot of debate on that one, but, you know, even the next few races past that, Atlanta, Darlington, Charlotte, I think a lot of guys are looking forward to getting to these cookie cutters and starting to get their teeth into some of these tracks, knowing that maybe some of the hard stuff's behind them, but they've still got Talladega looming right before the chase starts there.
I think the hard stuff is every week with how these guys were fighting tonight. It's just a showing that it's going to be a dogfight all the way to Chicagoland in that last race before the chase, trying to get in. I'll tell you, Nathan Jump sounded like he was about foaming at the mouth getting ready to get to Iowa. We know he's going to be looking forward to that one. After all is said and done here, 100 laps at the Michigan International Speedway, Nathan Jump is your winner. Thanks for sticking around with us tonight for what has to be one of the most entertaining Great Lakes races that I've ever seen in my now 5 seasons being affiliated with the league. It was a great showing from everyone tonight. Nathan Jump is your winner here at Michigan. From Split Second Broadcasting on Twitch here, thanks for hanging out with us. My name is Hunter Brittle in the booth with Elliot Henderson, signing off from Michigan. Good night, everyone.